Welcome back to Life Gloss. We have an exciting guest with us today. We are so thrilled to introduce you to Diane Mina, and we can't wait for you to get to know her. So, a little bit about Diane, and here's why you're going to love her. Her expanding empire is thriving in a totally male dominated industry. She leads Diane's Bloody Mary, and she does it with uncompromising integrity and iron will, and with the most generous, genuine heart. So, one of the things that I find fascinating and that we want to know as we get through this is, how do you tame the brutes? How do you get them to drink your Kool-Aid in a male dominated world? But let's start out by talking about something that Bloody Marys and beauty have in common, and that's sourcing. I want to start by talking about your tomatoes. In beauty, we have to, source our roses for fragrance and our ingredients in some of these far-flung places. But with a product like Diane's Bloody Mary, it starts with the tomatoes, and you've gone to great lengths to source. So let's start there.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for today, Hillary and Susan. I'm so happy to be here. What a beautiful introduction. I think my work is done. I mean, literally, you've done it all for me. Um, so thank you for talking about, so the tomato is the first ingredient. And in our category, I don't know if there's Bloody Mary drinkers out there, but a lot of the pre-made mixers that are shelf stable don't really focus on that first fruit. And not to talk anybody down or talk about my competitors in a negative way, but it's really from what started in the 1920s of, a canned tomato juice, popped in some vodka, a little bit of salt and celery and Tabasco, you're on your way, that I enjoyed. And being in the restaurant industry, we have a responsibility to find great product, right? And where does that come from, and following that chain. And so when the blessing came to finally put what we were doing out of the garden into a bottle, I had to replicate that. So for me, it's always a tomato first. And again, going back to what other people use, they tend to use like a paste to water ratio. So they actually, and the paste is okay. You see tomato paste everywhere, right? It's used as a thickening agent, making it a little bit richer for your bologneses, your lasagnas, some stews, chilies, all kinds of things like that. But for a Bloody Mary mix, I found out that, first of all, I never used the paste, only because I knew the difference. And that's because of my culinary background. I'm not a chef. I'm talking about home cooking background, okay? And cooking with my Nona and Nana. So the tomato, we knew it had to be the best tomato possible. And to how are we gonna bottle that and keep its integrity together? So we actually, from garden to sourcing now, we use San Marzano tomatoes. And if anybody knows about a San Marzano tomato, they're delicious, and they are the tomato that people cook with at all times, right? So that is the ingredient that we source from Italy. So that's a big deal. So a lot of our resources go to keeping that partnership alive and fresh. And we've been with the same supplier for probably, I'm going to say, 8 years. So they're fantastic. So it's really field to the processing of washing these organic, beautiful vine-ripened Roma tomatoes, and then packaging them for us to use in production. So we don't sit on product, actually produce. I don't want to say we produce by the purchase order, that would be silly, but we actually do run a certain amount because we are privately, we're a female-owned, female-operated company, and we're still at the point where we're boutique enough to still have the management of that. The bigger you get, the more scalability. Maybe that'll change down the road, but that's our big. The tomato comes first. Delicious tomato.
So, Diane, I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners that are, tuning in and saying to themselves, this is great. Female-owned business, a Bloody Mary mix. This is so exciting, especially for those of us over 50. Bloody Mary sounds good now and again, right?
It does.
But of all the beverages you could have gotten into, was there a reason why you selected the Bloody Mary? Is there a story behind this? Or, do you love them?
A little bit.
Or
I
yeah.
do. Yes. Thank you, Susan. It's a long story, but the short end of it is I grew up in Long Island, and I had a Nona and a Nana, and a pop-up and a poppy. So I had the Italian and the Puerto Rican side, and they had gardens. They always had gardens, like, and they really ran right alongside the house. It was not like it was glamorous. So home cooked meals and things like that. So I was kind of used to that right away. But we would always have our family gatherings, and our family gatherings would be usually on a Sunday, once or twice a month. And there would be an elaborate clam bake situation going on, East Coast clam bake with everything you can imagine. And then there'd be the alcohol table that the kids weren't supposed to touch. But the alcohol had NA, which is non-alc, had spirits, NA, water, everything. So I grew up on Yoo-Hoo, that chocolate crazy drink Yoo-Hoo that we may or may not know. I didn't grow up on sodas, never a big fan. And then there was this Mr. and Mrs. T situation on the table. And it was just like in a cute little bottle of tomato juice. And when I was having, everybody was drinking the Bloody Marys, and I tried my mother's. I said, this is delicious. What's this? So I sipped on my mother's, and I loved it. So I just started gravitating to the juice itself, the umami-ness of it, right? The thickness of the tomato. For me, texture wasn't an issue. There's people who can't stand the tomato fruit texture. They're like, oh, I can't even. But for me, at 10, was I 10? I was 10. And
Right.
I was like,
we
wow,
start early on the East Coast.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was nothing that was satisfying me, Susan. So I started as a young person. I got introduced during family gatherings and just really, really loved that particular brand at that time. And then it just grew into, everywhere I went, I was searching for that particular brand. And then as life and I grew, a lot of people came to the market. Zing Zang came to the market. Clamato came to the market. Those were kind of the areas that I lived in. And then you got tomato juice, and you had Campbell's and Newt's and a lot of stuff. So I really just played around with it. And then I became of age, of drinkability, and I started making Bloody Marys from store-bought brands. And I was like, this doesn't taste the same through my culinary career, my restaurant career, it's really
Right.
hotel, restaurant operations. Then as I was dating chef and learning more about culinary and what's supposed to taste the way it's supposed to be, and remembering what it was like with my grandfather's house, I was like, it tastes different. So that I used to add more alcohol. I'll be like, that's what sometimes people do. They'll tend to put more alcohol to some of the mixers that are out there. And I just, again, I don't want to abuse that, but I was like, So that's kind of how it got started for me, was just making something better. And I think that's kind of an entrepreneur story for lots of people, is that you see a product that you love, you grew up on, and some of the big market share folks, it's not that they're not doing it right, but they copied someone, so they're doing it now. But if we can be in a sweet spot of making something a little bit better for you, a little bit healthier for you, based on authentic, clean ingredients,
Right.
why not?
Yeah.
Well,
Why not?
yeah, and that's the thing I love about it, because I'm in a phase of my life where alcohol just doesn't love me. It doesn't agree with me at all. But I drink Diane's Bloody Mary in the morning. I like the spicy one. Sometimes I'll drink it after a workout. I mean, the ingredients, they're so fresh. It's clean. It's not full of sodium. It's not full of sugar. It doesn't make me bloat. It just makes me feel like, it makes my little cells go,
that's
thank you, thank
wonderful.
you, thank you, thank you. I love you, I love
thank
you, I love you. So
That
it's like
makes me
one of
happy.
my morning health drinks. And that's what a lot of
That's
people don't
fantastic.
realize, is that it's good for you and the ingredients are good for you. So, if you pour a little vodka in it, you can feel a little less bad. Antioxidants vodka, Or
Yeah.
tequila. You can mix it with any spirit, which is also unique.
Correct. And it's also, the other part of the health benefit is fresh, people like doing ginger shots, lemongrass shots, celery shots. I tell people all the time, it's an NA mix. We made it with no alcohol for a very good reason. If we have time, we
love
can
that.
talk about that. But it's an NA mix. It's the other AM juice. So V8 is the other, that's leading the category in tomato juice, right? V8, everybody loves V8. Now they're doing a Bloody Mary mix. But V8 has got beets, it's got carrots. It could be a little bit on the sweet side, a little bit. It's not unbalanced. They do a great job. But it was too much. I'm like, I don't want all that stuff in it. So really what you could do with our brand is take your shot of celery juice. Boom. Take your shot of lemon juice, and boom. And I would even say do it with the ginger. I have a customer who's on Amazon, and she had a ginger flavored vodka, but she was like, I wasn't sure if Diane's mix was going to go well, and we got thumbs up on it. I was like, so that's something I'm going to try. I'm going to get some fresh ginger juice and try that. So the other AM juice, because we are on the thicker side, so where our viscosity is full. It's full body. This is not Clamato. This is not going to be a watered down product and people love that too. There's a space for all of it. But in general, you're going to put ice and you're going to put something else in it. Pickling juice too. Pickle shots. You guys are healthy. People do pickle shots all the time for extra workout.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's great. I love it.
Does that help?
So
Does that answer the question?
it does. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the idea, especially like Hillary said, a lot of our listeners over 50, have myself included, alcohol is not really my friend anymore. Although I love a good glass of champagne but for
Yes.
some of us, we can't process it as well as we used to as we get older. So it's not to say you can't on occasion have your
Correct.
great Bloody Mary on a Sunday with friends, but there may be some other times that you want to skip the alcohol. So I love the fact that this does not have alcohol. You can have it as a mocktail or a cocktail. And I think that gives options. And that's similar, to the beauty industry that Hillary and I are in. You have to have options for people.
Correct.
Everyone doesn't wear the same color.
Agreed.
Everyone doesn't wear the same thing. And I think having options is what's terrific. But I do want to bring in, some beauty questions to you as well today to go along with this. You talked a lot about ingredients. You seem to be a woman that is passionate about ingredients. Is that something that you see in your skincare, in your beauty regimen that you do, in your lipstick selection? Do you go for things that tend to be cleaner? Is that important to you? Is it not important to you?
That's a great question. And I don't think I really focused on it too much. I always go based on what felt good on my skin. I'm so sensitive. I went from from oil of Olay Noxzema, right? I was born in 1967, so that's all I had. Oil of Olay and Noxzema. That's what it was.
Same.
And then baby oil to remove things. And I know those things are still classic out there. They're doing the regenerations of all their good stuff. So great companies, all I'm saying, that's what I grew up on. So getting educated in this space for me, which is a great question, Susan, it was always about how it felt on my skin and not wearing too much makeup. Unless I'm doing events or what have you, I really am a novice when it comes to beauty products, but I do like clean. I like seeing, 5 or less ingredients. I read labels more now than I ever have the past probably 10 to 12 years because of my skin that's aging and it's losing its elasticity, especially in the creams and the serums and the night routines. I've gotten much better the past year on my night routine, which I'm feeling better about. But really, until I met my sister-in-law here, I really I was like, what
Right.
am I doing?
Right.
I'm on the slow boat. I'm not going to say the country, but I'm on the slow boat there.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
there's
And so,
there's so many women, and Hillary and I talk about this all the time, Dan. You're saying something that is so prevalent. Many of our listeners are not from the beauty industry. They're not professional makeup artists. They're women just like you that aren't in the industry, but want to look good and feel better about themselves as they age. And I think that's something we've always prided ourselves on Life Gloss, is giving advice to women who, like yourself, grew up one way. And now as we're getting older, we're noticing those changes. And it's kind of like, well, what can I do? What is out there for me? What do I do? How do I begin? Because we didn't have YouTube. We had 17 magazine, and those were models.
That's right. That's right.
We didn't really have a lot of
Great
help
point.
back then.
Right.
Great
Yeah.
point.
And the industry shames women, and it tells women that they're supposed to know. I mean, I've been in this business for 30 years. And when I was in my 20s, I had my private atelier. Women would come in, sometimes with a little makeup bag, sometimes with their children's red wagon, and they'd come in for lessons. And no matter what her background was, no matter how familiar, she sat down and felt like she should be ashamed of her knowledge level. When she sat down with me, she sat down and apologized. Like, I'm so sorry, I should know this. And I'm like, why would you know this? This is makeup.
Yeah.
Like, even breastfeeding is not intuitive to people, and it's up there with what should be the most intuitive things. And this is not that. This is totally alien, and there is no reason why anybody should feel any shame around what you do or you don't do, or you know or you don't know, because it's so niche. But the industry applies some shame there, and we're Susan and I are not about it. So
I love that. What a beautiful thing. What's a beautiful thing to share and say because I have felt that way before, you know. I get intimidated walking into the Sephora's. Everything I get is either to you, Hillary, to be honest with you, anything that I follow you guys and I'm like, what does she have on the docket today? What can I learn? Because going to the store, the Walgreens and picking up those little fun things for events is cute, but like for a regimen, day to day, I rely on experts like you guys. So thank you. Thank you for doing all the time and energy and the love and the natural love that you have for it because it's very helpful. You know, if we could get
Oh,
the
good.
younger women in their 40s too, let's get them all in there. Let's get them.
Yeah.
And thank
Yeah.
you for trusting us because women can be scary out there. So we're
Well,
not
it is.
scary
Yeah,
here.
It's an intimidating industry. And, I'm
it
sure
is.
you felt that way too as a woman. As Hillary mentioned earlier in the intro, Hillary and I have been in, you know, it's funny. People always say we're in a female dominated field, but you'd be shocked
Mm-hmm.
how many men
Okay.
run the beauty industry.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we've had our fair share of that too, and so have you. So I'd love to hear from you. As a female entrepreneur and a woman in a male dominated industry, especially at our age, because I was born in '67 too. It definitely has changed, but for
Mm-hmm.
you, has it been a great experience? Has it been a difficult experience?
And your business is exploding right now, which is so exciting.
Um,
So,
Thank you. I mean, I
how'd you do
think,
it?
thank you. I'll tell you, as far as the exploding part, I think it's because it's a multi-model company, and I think that, and I'll explain that. But um, so here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. I think there's
Well, please
experience for
do.
both. There's experience for both male and female, and I feel like what a man can bring to the table is that logic, calming calming, like, okay, when we're here as an entrepreneur creator, you need this level part. But as far and I believe I love working with the males a lot of the time because they bring that to the table. However, I find it when it comes into the sales and social proof of concept, like proving yourself worthy is where I get a little crunchy and my Puerto Rican Italian gets a little goofy. And I'll be like, okay, so the big elephant in the room is who, and I don't know if anybody knows here on your listeners, is my husband and I built a restaurant company together. Whether I was in the restaurant with him, behind the door, whatever, but together we've built this restaurant called the Mina Group. So we've been out in there in this hospitality lane for 30 years, okay? Who I've met throughout that, there's some cred there because of Michael Mina, who's my husband and I love to death. And he is a legend in his own empire that he is, very renowned. Works hard. He's been to every opening of his own restaurant. So I have a really good role model in that male dominated space. He's Egyptian. He's a pretty headstrong guy. But and I've had, tapped into many jobs, and there's a reason to stay with me here. Many different areas since our relationship, again, 35 years that I've tapped into, finding my own space, but being with this guy, I had my own life before him. My own track was to run hotels and own a B&B. Got a little segued off, not in a negative way. It was a fabulous way. It was God's way. And now I'm in this other space. So navigating that and what he sees and how people respond to him, I can see both sides of it. When it comes to the rub with men, it's literally now it's almost used against me, right? Because I'm Michael Mina's wife. You don't need the job. You don't need the sale. Why are you working? Isn't he enough? I had that one that was like 2 months ago. Isn't being married to Michael enough? Oh, why, yes, it is when it comes to love and friendships. But so that's where I think that's the rub that comes to me is like, why is there a woman's passion, an entrepreneur, different than a man's passion, right? The Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and all these guys that make, you know, revolutionary changes. Women make revolutionary changes. We just don't talk about them as much. We should. But, and people do, and I don't want to sound like I'm ignorant here, but I'm just saying in my field, sales is the most difficult part for us because once I get in front of that person, usually a hotel person or a restaurant person, it's like, well, why should I buy your product? That's the number one thing. I'm like, I
Of
can go
course.
down the list of what that looks like. And it's like, I think that's differently when a man comes into an office with a bottle of Bloody Mary mix. This is fantastic. How did you get this started? It's a little bit different. For me,
Yeah.
it's always like, you know what I mean? So I hope I'm making sense here. It's a
Yes.
little bit,
Yes.
it's that first meeting for me. I come in differently. I don't have it pre-scripted because I read language. I'm an empath, so I can read people real well. I can read the room real well. And I think it wasn't until, now we're into this, 12 years. Now I have the cred to Hillary's point. Um, the product's in the bottle. It speaks for itself. Thank you. It's delicious. I believe it's the most delicious mix. Um, because not just because it was something that was created, but for the marketplace, right? We talked about you can make something perfect for you, but you've got to get it out to the people, right? So do I want it spicier? Sure. Do I want to put a little bit more of this and that? Sure. But do I also want to mix it everybody can love and make it their own and make it customizable? I don't want to have any rules to this. I want people to have fun with our product. I want people to make it their own, because this is, again, going back to my category. We can go up here on all these other things, but the category of the Bloody Mary mixers, you have to know your field. And I think that's the difference when men and women, like, so if I have to be, have my sales pitch to a guy and I know my category, like that's the advice I would give to women. If you have that meeting with a male, whatever the situation could be, know your shit. Come in prepared. Do your research on the person you're meeting. Jim Jones from, I don't know, the Hyatt Regency. I don't know what, an F&B director. Go online. We can access anybody these days. Good,
Right.
bad, or indifferent, but we can access people's experience and get to know that person. See how many years they've been in the industry. Get something that you can identify with them. Oh, Jim, I see you went to Western. Isn't that fabulous? Tell me about, So once you
Hmm.
start kind of releasing the tension between the table of male to female, and you kind of get common ground, that I've noticed has been um, easier for me personally. I
Yeah.
go right into restaurant group, and what I'm so proud of being Michael Mina's wife. It's an honor. Wow, and we built this product together. That usually
Right.
helps too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think it's there, you would think after all these years you wouldn't have to, go through all the hoops. But I agree with you. I think I've always said this, behind every great man is a very strong woman. And in many cases, people have built their companies together, but
Yes.
it can be very
Mhm.
difficult as a woman if you have a strong man that's known for something. Because, like you said earlier, many of us who are married, we had lives before that. We had careers, we had lives,
Yes.
whatever, before we became Mrs. So and so. So,
Yep.
we could do a whole podcast on loss of identity and then add children to that. You lose another
Yes.
identity, etc. So I can understand that. I can definitely relate to that in the situation I'm in my marriage too. But the advice you give for women entrepreneurs is excellent, because I think women do need to understand when you're going in, and it could be you're meeting a woman executive too. You've
Oh,
got
and
to
they
come in,
a
they can
thousand
be
percent.
tougher. They can be
Oh, they
much
are.
harder. They're
They
much
are.
harder,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
isn't it sad in this day and age as women, I say to my daughter, we're never going to make the same amount of money as men as long as we're all women in the room, because we're so busy fighting and competing against each other
Yes.
that, we're
Yes.
never going to get ahead.
Yes.
Whereas men don't do that. They
They
don't
don't do
compete
that.
in that. Yeah, they don't throw each other under the bus. They're not
You
cats, they're
know,
dogs. They travel in a
yeah.
pack, so it's
Yeah.
very
I
interesting.
think it is interesting because I think that's also, we get stereotyped that we are stay-at-home moms, whether you have children or not. I think there's a stereotype that men work harder than women, and it's completely the opposite. My husband is surrounded by a female group of women, from marketing to culinary to front of the house to events, and he has fabulous male chefs and female chefs. He has fabulous company. And he's like, wow, what a difference working with women lately. And as he's gotten older, because he's a little bit older now, he sees a little bit different. He's like, there's just a different pace. Women can multitask, not that man can't. I think we can sit there and talk about this too, the multitask, but you don't have to have children to be multitask. I think women are just
Correct.
in that
We're just good at it.
we're just really good at things, right?
We
And I
really
think
are.
to segue into the multi-unit company that I wanted to mention, that was my pivot, right? So selling bottle to bottle, selling my mix to every single person on the planet. How am I going to do that when my competitors own 90% of the market share with a group of 3 people
Right.
and limited resources to have a sales feet on the street? So pivoting to, again, opportunity was, I want to bring people to me. And that's when I started doing the pop-up restaurants in our company, in the Mina Group, back in 2016 and 18. I did a pop-up where it was 100 and maybe 16 tables and 10 bar seats. And I was like, listen, Michael, I got to have people come to me. I can't knock on doors. So I created Diane's Bloody Mary Bar in San Francisco Marina. And it was awesome. And I did it twice. So that was proof of concept right there. So I open up with that a lot of the times. I'm like, listen, I know I'm in a saturated category, but I'm doing something that really, hopefully, it's not really being done before. If someone follows, great. Look at, we started a trend, revolutionary. I don't know, but so
Right.
that's kind of really.
Right.
So I took my restaurant love, hospitality of service. I didn't plan on making something and putting it in a bottle. You guys, this is not easy stuff. Creating something, it's like, but serving in a restaurant, you have opportunity like, oh, can I seat you? And the day's done and you go the next day. Every day you're worried about this product getting onto the market and into someone's hands. Every day you're worried about the ingredients and making sure that no one's screwing it up when it gets onto the truck. Every day you're worried about it selling. So for me, making these pop-ups was huge, huge. So those were successful. And now I have a restaurant based around the bottle. So it's a brand within a brand. So Diane's Bloody Mary is now extended to a restaurant brand. And I have social proof now for the men in the room, no disrespect, that we're going into our 3rd year in our Burbank airport. It's called Diane Mina's Backyard Bar and Eats. Diane's Bloody Mary is on the bar. So it's a brand within a brand. And our 2nd year, we're at 20 million, So that's right there. So that's one avenue, right? And then we do our events, and then we
So
do tours, and we go.
let's just explain for 1 second, if I may interject, what
Yeah.
that means. It means
Yes.
that when you go into the Burbank airport and you're flying Southwest, as you're going to your gate, you have a choice of restaurants and you see this big sign that says Diane's Bloody Mary, and she is one of the restaurant options. She has a permanent installment there, and
Great.
she's created a whole backyard eats vibe, from the tables to the napkins to the utensils to the food to the sourcing to the employees, and you're there a lot of the time. I know you spend a lot of time in Burbank. You spend a lot of time
We
on the
do.
road with Bella, your little Diane's Bloody Mina trailer. So your
Yeah.
boots are on the ground touching your clients a lot, which
Yes.
we'll
Great.
circle back to. But when you fly through Burbank, I'm always so proud. I'm like, look, it's her
Thank
very
you.
own restaurant, and it's a
Thank
big deal.
you.
It's a big deal
That's a
to open a
huge deal.
space in an airport. It's a big deal to be going into your 3rd year. It's a big
Thank
deal to be
you.
hitting $20 million. So
Thank
I'm going to
you.
toot your.
Thank you.
It's
Well,
huge.
thank you. I mean, I got to say, again, Steve Mora and his wife, Tammy Mora, believed in the concept. Now we have a husband and wife ownership of the F&B management. So MCS is there. They own MCS, Metropolitan Culinary Services, just for the sake of this call. And they run your outlets. So it's Guy Fieri and myself that are on the southwest side of the terminal. There's other F&B outlets on the other side of the terminal, but I'm at Southwest A3, if anybody goes. After security,
Go
after
get a Bloody
security,
Mary.
not,
After
yeah,
security.
after security, not pre-security. And they're the amazing people. I mean, that hotel, that airport's been there for 100 years, and it's being
Yeah.
remodeled in 20. It's going to open in 2026, a new beautiful airport with 14 terminals. And the blessing of that, right then and there. I mean, Steve believed in us. No one was doing and I hope no one takes the idea, but I don't know, but really no one's, Bloody Marys are consumed. It's the 4th cocktail in the airspace, air and at airports. It's the 4th, and millions of people travel every day. So I thought to myself, Susan, to your point, this model of like, okay, well, what if I did an airport bigger than what I've had as a pop-up, bring people to the product, then I'll get my name out there. And then people will be like, hey, I had that at that airport. Now it's available at Beverages and More, and now it's on Amazon, and now it's so that's kind of
Right.
how I had to flip the script a little bit, right? Normally, sometimes people get into retail, but I flipped
Yeah.
it because of my experience.
Now,
So,
do you see yourself going into other airports? I know you're at Burbank right
oh,
now. Is
sure.
this
Oh,
something
yes.
you really want to
Yes.
expand and go into other airports and be sort
Right.
of
Because,
the Bloody Mary destination for airports? Because I agree
And
with you. When I think
correct.
stadiums.
travel, yeah, when I think
And stadiums.
travel, people really are traveling in the mornings, the daytime. I can see where
Hmm.
Bloody Marys would be very popular in the travel and in the airspace. I see
Correct.
champagne, and that's first thing that comes to mind, champagne and Bloody Marys. That's what you're
Yep.
drinking when you're traveling. It's, hotels.
That's
It
right.
screams the whole F&B, industry, which is interesting, food and beverage you're in, and we're in F&B, which is fragrance and beauty. So there really is a marriage here between F&B and B.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's true. Whenever I say F and
Yeah.
B for my friends that are in food and beverage, they're like, "Wait a minute, that's my industry." Like, no, that's also my industry.
I love
So
that. Thank you.
yeah, so I definitely see. I really see you in so many airports around the
Well,
world. You're
so
like, yes, I
let's
do
see.
too,
Yeah.
Susan.
So yeah, like I said, it's the people who believe in you that you work with, right? So Steve and
That's
Tammy and
right.
his team, they've had employees there for 30, 35 years. I mean, listen, you can get some people who'll say, "Oh, it's built in numbers because you can't go anywhere else once you're stuck in there." I don't listen to those things. They can get you pretty bummed
No.
out. My first year, because I don't know the space that well, I was kind of getting a little emotional. I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? They're not coming in because they love it?" And a lot of people are like, no, where else am I going to go? And I'm like, you're not to you, bring a banana. I'm like, I can get really dicey about it, but listen,
Right.
you got to have some grit. You got to have some thick skin as
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur. It's okay to have
Yeah.
empathy. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. It's an emotional business. You're dealing with human beings, right? So all of us, I mean, human behavior is very, very at its highest at this point in our life. And as you get older, you can be kind and respectful to each other. You don't have to like the space. You just don't have to get ugly about it, right? We don't like ugly people. We don't like, and I'm not talking
Mm-mm.
about this, I'm talking about the soul of people. And our job is to serve everyone. That is my discipline to serve, my discipline to be a leader is to know other people can lead, right? If you think that you're the best leader, yeah, no, you need to have the discipline to know that you're not always the best leader. Um, and so I believe that that has carried me a long way as well. And also, like I said, our business partner, now I'm going into the new airport with 2 units. I'm not only getting one restaurant, he's giving me another outlet. So I'm telling you, it has been a blessing. And that is a male and female duo, and they're amazing people to work with. So we're very excited.
That's great. That's great.
Oh my gosh, we're so
I love it.
thrilled. I think our listeners are going to be so tickled because I knew this would be inspirational, but you always surprise me. And I feel like whether people are running their own businesses or running a home is like running a business too. And you've given us
Exactly.
so much insight and so much perspective in a really human way, but also some really solid, gritty business advice too. I feel
Okay,
like
good.
everybody can listen to this, and I feel like everybody's going to get a little something
Great.
from this, no matter where they are
Great.
in life.
I hope so.
Yes.
I
Will you
hope it
come
helps.
back? Will you come back?
I'd
We
love
want to see you
it.
again. We want to celebrate your successes, and
Oh, thank you.
maybe we'll do a little social media live with you as you're opening your new location, and we can
That
get
would be
you in
lovely. What a
person or
blessing.
something.
Yes, I'd
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Bloody Marys and beauty. I can see it.
Yeah.
They
F
totally do.
and B.
And
F and
again,
B.
F&B, I can never say the name properly, Hillary, that has lipo, the tomatoes have the lipo, liposuction, keratin. What's the
Lycopene.
ingredient?
Lycopenes.
Lycopene.
Lycopenes.
Lycopene.
Lycopenes.
Lycopenes.
Thank you.
Yep. They're
Yeah,
such good
lycopene.
antioxidants. They're
So
They
good.
incredible for
are.
you. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why you
I see
see
that.
that's why you see tomatoes come in and out of fashion and skincare. They are kind of on a rotation like everything
Oh,
else. They
Yeah.
come in and out of
okay.
skincare too. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we
And
love it.
maybe we need an official Diane's Bloody Mary lip color to go with this whole thing too. A beautiful
She
tomato
has
red.
one. She
I
has
do have
one.
one.
Oh,
Bloody
I
Mary
love
Has
red.
one.
it. Bloody
I
Mary.
didn't put it. I know I should got that. That's terrible of me. But yes, Hillary, I
No,
was
no, it's
begging for
okay.
a color. Um,
Yeah.
but yes, it's beautiful. I'll share that with you guys.
Yeah, we
Yes, we
made
would
her
love
Bloody
to.
one
Mary.
in a vintage lipstick tube. So,
Oh, cute.
Vintage, yeah,
so wink,
gorgeous.
wink, when we get ready to do something, Susan. Maybe somebody will talk us into something someday. We have a Bloody Mary
Ooh,
red. Ooh.
Ooh, maybe
okay.
wink wink Hill. We need to make that happen. Yes. I
And
like
we'll be
it.
following Diane's advice. We'll be
There
calling
you
you.
go. Yeah, we'll just call you wait, what do we do? How do we do? Yeah, I love it. I love
We'll be
it.
like,
I love
Diane,
it.
we want to
Sounds
cry
good.
and
I'm
scream
here.
and hurt people. What do we do? What did you say again about being gracious and being
Yeah.
nice and not being ugly? What did you say about not being ugly on the inside?
I know. Oh.
Oh my gosh. I'm right.
So, Diane, for our listeners that are not getting through Burbank Airport on a regular basis, where can they purchase Diane's Bloody Mary mix?
Well, as of December 1st, we are now on Amazon. So we have our own Amazon storefront. So
Great.
I could share that with you. So if you go to dianesbloodymary.com, you'll find us shop, and that'll be
Okay.
easy access there. We're selling it
Sure.
by the singles and the double pack. We call it the sister pack. So they say singles, doubles. You can get as many as you'd like there. That's for
Great.
online. We've been working on that for about 7 years, so we're pretty happy to offer that. And then as far as retail, other retail, beverages and more in
Okay. Yeah, they're
California,
huge. They're everywhere. Yeah.
Northern California, Southern California. And then in Las Vegas, we're in Lee's Discount Liquors, about 17 or 18 stores there. So
Okay.
we're just partnered up with a great team right now that's going to get us into other markets, but we're saturating where we are right now. And as far as like hotels and restaurants and stuff, um, we're blessed to be partners with Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, so we have to use a distributor. We don't self-distribute. That's just another layer that's another wish list of mine to have Mina manufacturing because I would love to have my own. I would love to have my own plant, my own run line. I would love to just pull the handle myself after I make it and just sign every bottle. That's the goal there. But so we still use Southern Glaciers right now, and so we're in certain hotels in Nevada. We're in about 200 hotels in Nevada. That's a cool blessing. And in California, Florida, and Hawaii. So yeah,
So
that's kind of the big nut
everywhere.
of it. All that. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's
That's
where
a
you will
lot.
find if you check out our
And
website, it also duplicates those hotels. So if guests are coming to Las Vegas and they want to stay, at the MGM, if they want to stay at Bellagio, there'll be restaurants. Sadel's carries that. Sadel's is a great brand. I don't know if you guys know it. They do the bagels. They came out of New York. They're
yes,
here. So yeah, kind of fun. It's
congratulations.
pretty.
And remember, you
Thank
don't
you.
have to have it with booze. You can have it with booze, you can have it without booze,
That's right.
whatever you
Yeah.
want. And I love it. I take it on my hikes. I pour it in the
Great.
car before I leave. I have it in the morning after working out. And it comes in both regular, like both the original, and then there's a little spicy one too. And
I love it.
you
That
can
one's called the
gussy it up
dirty.
with
That's the dirty.
the dirty, yes. And you can
Dirty
gussy
Diane.
her
It's
up with
called Dirty
anything.
Diane. Yes. Sorry,
Dirty
Dirty
Diane.
Diane. The
Diane's.
Right?
Diane.
Because
That's on
I
another
love
plane.
of
that.
course
I
it
get
is.
excited.
Dirty
Because of
Diane.
course it is.
Of course it
We
is.
Yeah.
love it, and we
I
love you,
love it.
Diane.
Thank
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 you.
you.
you. Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much. I love you
sharing
guys
and for
too.
being so open and giving us all such good
Oh,
advice. So
Such
read
great
the
advice.
comments for our listeners. If there's things that have stood out to you, things you've enjoyed, if you have questions for Diane, because we might bring her back. I have a feeling we're definitely bringing
That
her
would be
back,
honest.
but your questions will bring her back. So, because she loves to give and
Okay.
she loves to share, and her heart is so big. So, if you have more questions, ask them in comments. We'll bring Diane back so you can see more of her. And we're just going to get excited about seeing us everywhere we go. And if you guys are out in the world and you see Diane's Bloody Mary somewhere, take a photo, hashtag Diane's Bloody Marys, and hashtag Life Gloss
Fun.
Podcast. And we want to see where you are in the world and what you think. Send us pictures of your cup and your glass or whatever. We want to
All of it.
be
Definitely.
around the world
We
with
call
you.
that, we call it show us how you marry. Show
Okay,
us how
see,
you
there you
marry.
go.
That's what we
Show
do.
us
I
how you
love it.
marry.
All right, Marys,
Yeah.
get out there.
All right, Marys.
Show us.
All right, everyone. Thank you guys, and always stay glossy.
Bye, guys.
Stay
Enjoy.
glossy.
Stay glossy.